It's Saturday, May 20th, 2023, and Chris and I are on our way up to Kennedy Lake. Kennedy Lake is in the Emigrant Wilderness, which is in the Stanislaus National Forest, right above Yosemite. The trail begins at Kennedy Meadows Resort. It's about a 3.5-hour drive from the San Francisco Bay Area to the trailhead. The hike begins at about 6,300 feet and climbs to about 7,800 feet in 8 miles with approximately 2,500 feet of climbing. The lake contains brown trout. Camping on the lake is good, however, there are few spots available without crossing the creek or traveling to the far side of the lake. Pretty much what I expected to find. Chute after the bridge is filled with snow. That might arguably make it easier going than the actual trail. There's a creek flowing underneath it though, you can be sure of that. So we're about an hour and 30 minutes in, and I think we've just come to the trail split. We're getting beta that relief is still frozen over. I saw a picture and it's just starting to ice out along the edges, which probably means that Kennedy is probably frozen over. But you know, if we get up there and the creek is clear and that little bit by the creek is clear, then I think we can still get into some fish. Finally come to the bridge. A little nasty off camber snow between us and there. So we're about 4 hours in and we've made it to the meadow just shy of the cabin. The snow is soft enough that we could use snowshoes, but there's not enough of it to make it make sense. I've already fallen in. I literally fell in a fallen tree well up to my waist. So it's slow going right now. The inevitable has happened, and our feet are now sopping wet, and they're probably going to be that way until we can make camp and dry them out. You can't help but get your feet wet up here in the early season. So many springs, it creates these giant marshes, tarns within a mile and a half of the lake in all directions. We finally put on our snowshoes and the going is so much easier. So we're trudging through the snow, but snowshoes make it much easier, but it's taking a long time. We're at 5.5 hours right now. Haven't even made it to the cabin yet. So it's about 2:40 and the thunderstorms have rolled in. Just as predicted. Hopefully they'll stay on the other side of the ridge. The trail is completely covered by snow, so we've been navigating using the GPS on our phones. So it's just checking where we are on the map, checking which direction the trail goes in, finding a landmark in that direction, going to that landmark, and then taking another reading, finding another landmark, and going in that direction. So yeah, so it's been slow going. We're both getting a little tired. It's taking us longer than we anticipated. But there's no place I'd rather be. We are finally at the cabin. Looks like the the fence is in disrepair, which is okay because we wouldn't be able to open it anyway. Thunderstorms. We don't have any rain yet, but there's lots of rumbling. We're hiking about 100 feet apart in case one of us gets hit by lightning. We are essentially at the lake. Now, that's where I usually camp, but the tree that's usually going across there has been washed away, so I think we're gonna have to find a spot on this side downstream a bit. So my previous camping spot was taken, or my previous camping spot was inaccessible, and there are two other spots back along the trail that we're going to go to, one of which already had a fire pit. So it looked dry, or dry enough, so that's where we're going to go. Okay, this is the spot we've chosen. There's a fire ring there. It's pretty dry. Okay, so sprinkles have come, and my first tarp configuration, which was the one that I patterned after Sweetwood's video, didn't work. Got ripped up immediately. Got the TP tarp, not my favorite, but it's fast. Hopefully it will hold up to this wind. Otherwise I'll have to do what I did at Vogelsong. So the thunderstorm has come in earnest, and I've put up a quick, but I think poor tarp configuration. It's going to be warm. I think I'm probably going to get a little wet, and I'm feeling a little cramped. So I opened my new Thermarest yesterday, and the side of the packaging said it came with a stuff sack and a repair kit, and I didn't see those. So I thought, oh, I'm going to have to take this back to REI because it's not there. Well, it was rolled in a Thermarest, and it came with one of these bags to inflate it with. So I'm going to give that a shot. Took a bit of doing, but it worked. And you know, I'm gonna have to do a full review of this because I think this looks like it's actually thicker than the last version. So there's really not much for me to do right now. So I'm putting on some dry socks. I wish I didn't bring my waders, and because I didn't bring my waders, I don't have my Crocs. And I kind of wish I had my Crocs so that I could, so that I would have some dry footwear. So, sort of a mental note to myself that in future, bring the Crocs even if you don't plan to wade. And these are, well, I won't wring these out in here, but yeah, when I wrung them out earlier, there was so much water. I set my tarp up in the triangle TP configuration. because, you know, it was raining, it's fast. I didn't do a great job. I've got, you know, it's sagging all over the place, but it hasn't come down yet, so that's a good thing. I've got my wet gear over here in the right corner. That's the entrance there, and of course the flap folds over. And I'm laying here along this corner. Got my backpack here. You can see I've dug a little trench there. That was where the original line was, but I decided to put a stake up there just to give myself a little bit more headroom. So yeah, it looks like, I mean, it's a little cramped, but it'll do for, you know, for a night. It's actually, you know, it's more space than I have in my tent, but, you know, in my tent, a lot of stuff goes in my vestibule, so it just feels more cramped to me. So I'm a little bored, so... Not exactly how I expected day one to go. But I'm just gonna sit here and relax in my tent and then fall asleep. Storm was forecast for tomorrow, not today, and then it moved up, and then it was forecast at 30% rain, and you know, it's just another day in the Sierra. So see everybody tomorrow.
No, you'll flood the whole compartment. He's dead already.
So Sunday morning, about 6:30, and I'm thinking about getting out. Normally I wait until about 7 before I get out of my tarp, but I'm thinking about doing it now. It's cold. It was cold last night. It was actually probably one of the coldest nights that I can remember recently, but I was comfortable. My sleeping bag is rated pretty well. You know, this teepee tarp configuration, you know, when I did that video and I was out in my yard, I knew it was one that I wasn't really gonna like, but it's fast, it's easy to set up, and it's warm. And so it was all those things last night, I guess. I mean, I got it up fast during the rain, and I'm dry. This REI tarp is at the bottom of the rating for waterproofness, and I was seeing that last night. So it worked fine during the thunderstorm, but if you were in a deluge, for just hours on end, no, this would not be the tarp for you. When the thunderstorm finally ended, about an hour afterwards, in the areas where I could see water beating on top of the tarp, I put my finger underneath, and I could feel it was moist. So nothing was dripping through. I kept it perfectly dry, but yeah, it's not what I would consider waterproof. Although I guess in terms of the waterproof ratings, it is considered waterproof, if that makes sense. Pretty much as I expected, this configuration gets a lot of condensation, and so I've got a lot of condensation this morning. Top of my head's all wet from hitting the top of the tarp. But otherwise, I had a good night. It was uneventful. I didn't sleep a whole lot, and I'm waking up to wet clothes, which I'm not real happy about. I made the mistake, and I didn't realize that I did it. I thought I had spaced everything out so that if everything would stay nice and dry, but it looks like I pushed my pants over on top of my wet shoes. So now I've woken up, and of course the pants have absorbed some of the water from the shoes. So yeah, so I've got that to deal with this morning. I do have some long johns, but I think these pants are tight enough that I'm not going to be able to wear my long johns underneath them. I've got wool long johns today. I left my silks at home. Probably would have been a good idea to bring both. So that's I guess sort of a mental note for myself. Next time bring both in case I need to wear one under these pants. So today, I think I'm going to get out, tear everything down, eat, use the latrine, and that's another thing that I hadn't really considered. How do you use the latrine in conditions like this, right? I mean, everything is covered with snow. If I
had thought about it and was prepared to pack out my waste, yeah, maybe I could do that, but I'm not prepared to pack out my waste. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Most of the areas that don't have snow are the places that people would camp. So you don't want to, you don't want to dig a hole in those areas. So not quite sure how I'm gonna figure that one out. But in any case, I think what I'm going to do this morning is get out of the tarp, break everything down, then go fish. We'll probably fish until about noon, and then head back. That'll probably put us back at the trailhead about 6. We'll be able to get down that sketchy pitch while it's still daylight out. Hopefully, it was warm enough, yesterday that most of that is melted, and yeah, we'll see how things go today. So one nice thing about this tarp configuration is that in the morning I can just flip it up, and I don't have to worry about condensation too much as I get dressed. I wasn't too worried about bears last night, so I just put my bear canister right outside the tarp, and you can see the watermark right there. Tarp did its job. Now, this morning's mystery is where to use the latrine. As you can see, this whole hillside is basically nothing but springs. There's a trail up there, there's a trail down here, and it's a slope, everything flows into the stream. So what do? If it was dead of winter, maybe you could go in the snow, maybe, I don't know. But it just seems like anywhere around here, anywhere you go, it's either going to be all sopping wet, and it's going to flow into the stream. So not quite sure what I'm going to do about that today. If I had given it more consideration, maybe I would have, brought a bag and I could pack my own waste out, but that's not going to happen today. So yeah, that's the mystery, and a lot of these places that don't have snow, a lot of these places like this, that's where you're going to want to camp. Those trees over there, maybe there's something over there that I could use, or something over there that I could use if you don't have these little streams coming down. Snow is pretty hard and icy this morning, which is what you'd expect. I did bring a bag to pack out my toilet paper, so all good there. Sun's finally coming up over the ridge. Water's moving at a nice clip. In a place like this where there's so much cow dung and horse dung, it really pays to have a really good water filter. So last night I forgot about the spot. I left it outside the tarp, and I left it on all night. When I got up this morning, this power indicator was flashing red. And so I thought it was essentially dead. So fortunately I have an extra set of batteries, and I was able to replace those and send out an okay message to everybody, letting them know that we're okay this morning. But just out of curiosity, I put the old batteries back in, and now it's flashing green again. So I guess what happened was, being out in the cold all night, the cold must have sapped the power, and for whatever reason now it's showing as green. So this new sleeping pad is pretty cool. I'm really liking it. It was plenty warm last night. It is so much quieter than the old one, and this deflation valve just works excellent. I mean, I just twist it, and the entire thing deflates, easy as you please. So definitely look forward to doing a full review on that. And as I like to do when I know I'm going to be in cold conditions, I use my SOL Escape light bivy as a ground cloth. It's somewhat insulated. So that, my sleeping pad, and my sleeping bag keep me plenty warm. Bummer. Looks like my sheath got wet last night. Gonna have some knife cleanup to do when I get back. Come up to the lake. We're at the little inlet that I like to fish. I've got on a Rickard's Calabatus nymph because early season Emigrant Calabatus nymph is my favorite fly, and of course my soft hackle hare's ear. I don't have my hat cam, so I'll do the best I can to get footage. Ah, too short. I'll fish it anyway, though. No, I need a better position, better casts. I really want to be over there. There we go. Let's see if that does it. What I really want is to present my fly to that current and then have it. Ah! That's what happens when you shoot fish and you're talking. So what I really want is to present my fly into the current and have it drift out that way. But I've got too much quiet water between here and there. I have to put an end in. Ah! Oh well. Yeah, I lost him. That's a better fish. And I got him on the... It's hard to tell. Got him on the hare's ear. It's a nice brownie. More than a nice brownie.
something in the back. Nope, that's decent. So I've moved over and come to the other side of this inlet. What I wanted to do is I wanted to present down this lane right here. But now that I'm over here, I can see that that tree comes all the way down, out and through. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I'll probably be able to present out here somewhere. Need to be cognizant of my depth. But what I really want to present is out in this direction. So I'm going to throw a few casts in here. I'm not expecting much in here just because these are brown trout and they don't like bright things, and it's really bright out today. So they're going to probably be in the deeper water, but there's a couple logs in there. There's a log that goes across there. So who knows? They could be hanging out underneath those logs. Okay, so I presented my fly a couple times, just let it swing through, and nothing, so I'm gonna try further out now. Okay, nothing on that side. I'm gonna head up the bank a little bit, see how close I can get without falling in. That was about 5 foot high, and the key for me is to try to navigate my way without falling in. I'm guessing the bank, I can use those trees to sort of guess or gauge where the bank actually is. So if there aren't very many inlets and there aren't any little caverns, I should be okay. It's just, this is really soft, so trying to get down from here, it's gonna be a little tricky. So I was initially making the assumption that all these trees were growing up from the bank, but now that I'm here, I can see that this is just debris that's been pushed. So I have no idea where the bank is, and I can see that, it's going into the water there. It's probably overhanging. Based on what the rest of this looks like, it's very possible that I'm actually standing over water. So I'm gonna retreat, go back down the bank where Chris is. That's a little bit more defined, and it'll be safer. The snow is so soft, especially on the edges. It's just not worth the risk. So as I was just taking my time along that bank, I could hear the snow underneath me cracking. So I got out of there as quick as I could, and I'm back at that wood pile. This time I'm on the opposite side. I started fishing there. I moved over here because I thought I'd get a better vantage point of this water as it's going down through here. But then I realized that tree came out, made it difficult. So now I'm gonna try to put casts straight over this tree, right down the center. So I fished through here enough with the nymph, and I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna put on a big stimulator, throw some curved casts in there, try to get a good drift. Just dragging a little bit. I've seen stoneflies in here. They're a little bit smaller than what I've put on, but put that little curve in. It's not a terrible drift, a little slow. Now it's starting to drag. Okay, it's 11 o'clock and nothing on the dry fly. I'm pretty satisfied hooking those 2 fish and landing that 1 brown, so I'm gonna go downstream and see how Chris is doing. Man, this snow is melting crazy fast. On the way up the creek today, you know, we were hitting spots that were maybe 2 to 4 inches, but now, I mean, I'm starting to fall through, starting to go up to my calf. So yeah, definitely gonna need the snowshoes on the way back. Okay, we didn't catch any more fish, and we're heading out. Looking forward to a 6-hour trek. It's the first sign of bear right in those trees. I don't think he sees us yet. Cool. I have never seen a bear while I was backpacking before. We alerted him that we were here, and he's taken off up the hill, which is exactly where we want. Although we'd rather he was going in the other direction, because that's the direction we're going in. So we're going to try to follow the trail as much as we can. These big open spaces like this, it doesn't really matter much, but once you get in the trees, the trail is going to be a more clear route. So we're about an hour and 30 minutes in and taking a break, filling up on water. Still having to snowshoe through all the sun cups. We've finally gotten to a spot where it makes sense to take off our snowshoes, but trudging through the snow is slow going. Our tracks from yesterday were almost completely gone. So we've had to do a good bit of route finding today. We're finally back at the bridge. Whew. Now that first bit up from the bridge is a little sketchy, but with any luck, it's melted enough that it's not as bad as yesterday. Yeah, it definitely looks better than yesterday. Okay, we got past all the sketchy stuff, and now it should be easy peasy all the way down. Assuming we don't fall in a hole and wrench a knee. Heading into the Relief Valley, and it is hot and humid down here. So we made it through the sketchy part okay, but that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. There's a lot of soft snow, a lot of rock wells and tree wells, and the last one we came through, I punched through up to my mid-thigh. My pack went twisting in one direction. My whole body went with it. I could have easily broken my leg there. Fortunately, I didn't. Thunderstorms. Ooh, there you go. There's lightning. The last patch of sketchy snow. Looks like we can go in on the inside. Well, it looks like the path was right over the top. So we're getting closer to the thunderstorm. It's starting to drizzle a little bit. I put on my rain jacket. We're only about 30-40 minutes from the cars, so I didn't bother putting a cover on my pack. Well, we're finally down 8 miles, 5 hours. I don't know what to say. It's been a great trip. Never watched a movie on a backpacking trip before, so that was a first. Happy that I caught that one fish. Really happy that Chris was able to come along with me. We both got down with you know, mostly okay. Chris twisted his knee or something, and yeah, if you've watched this long, thank you for that. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for coming along.